ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont, and today we're going to be talking about The Witcher 4 and a little bit of the controversy that's been surrounding it. Saw this headline from Games Radar. Almost said Game Rant there. From Games Radar. You can't just have Geralt for every single game, says his voice actor. And if you think The Witcher 4 making Ciri the protagonist is woke, then read the damn books. The story was always going in this direction. All right, so I'm going to pause right there. I saw the headline. I already had worked myself up. I've actually calmed down a little bit, but I have seen very little argument surrounding this woke premise. I have not seen a lot of people complaining about the game going woke. The only wokeness that I heard about it is them saying they uglified Siri, which if you look at her character model, they did widen her jaw a little bit and like make her brow a little more heavy, which gives her more of a masculine look compared to her character in The Witcher 3. But I have seen stuff where they allegedly went back and took those design features away and made her look more like her Witcher 3 counterpart. Now, I don't know if that's factual, if those were old concepts, or if they did actually go back and change it. And if they did, we'll just have to wait for the game to come out to see what the finalized character actually looks like. Because what we saw in the video that people were complaining about was basically like a demo video. It wasn't gameplay at all. So, oh, excuse me, it came out of nowhere. But yeah, this. So this might be the re-slimmed down version too, because this doesn't look as rough as I remember it looking in the original video. But let's get into this story. The Witcher 4 was officially announced at the 2024 Game Awards, and it kicked the hornet's nest by daring to have series stars as protagonist. Gerald's voice actor Doug Cockle strongly defends his choice. So I got to stop again right there, first paragraph. The argument wasn't that she's the protagonist, it was the way she was depicted as the protagonist. Which, well, let's keep reading. We'll get into her depiction in a little bit because I'm sure it'll be addressed in the article. Haven't read this yet. As you know, I like to read these live or live recording, whatever you want to call this. It's a cool character from The Witcher, and they're going to focus on that character, he says during a fall damage video responding to a post regarding people calling Ciri's newfound spotlight woke. So Witcher 4 is woke. They really honestly, when they do this shit, they pick the worst articles or the worst people talking about him to highlight, and they ignore the thousands upon thousands of legitimate criticisms. They find the bottom of the barrel when it comes to people and their complaints to highlight because that's what gets a reaction and that's what gets clicks. And that annoys the hell out of me because the vast majority of people do not think this. Oh, yeah, look, here you go. This is the original clip. Did you see how rounded her jaw is compared to what they show here? Now, this could be angle and positioning, but again, I did yeah, I did read and see something where they were talking about they did slim her back down to look more like her original character design from Witcher 3. But where were we? I think that's awesome. You can't just have Geralt for every single game of The Witcher ad nauseum through eternity. First off, you could, and people would keep playing them. Geralt's one of the greatest characters in video game history and possibly fiction now, as far as like who he is, what he's done, what he believes, how he acts, how he responds to outward stimulus and all that. He's a great character. It I've read the first well, not even the first 3. I've read book 1 and 3 because I read The Blood of Elves and then I went back and read what is it? The Sword? No, the first the Last Wish, The Last Wish. Shit. I think it's The Last Wish. Because I was told that continuity wise, that one takes place first before the Blood of Elves, and then because I had read the Blood of Elves, I read somewhere that man, I can't remember the names of these books. That what book 3 is actually book 3 in the original print run, and I read that skipping the original book 2, not realizing that book 3 is technically continuity-wise now book 5, because there's 2 short story collections that take place before The Blood of Elves, and then there's another book in between the book I started reading. I got about halfway through and I was like, I'm so confused about why there was a major time jump. I went online, I looked it up, realized I was reading the 3rd book, and then I paused the series for a little bit, and then I went through and just read like a synopsis of the entire series, it's like straight through. I spent half a day just reading what is effectively Wikipedia articles to get the story, and I'm gonna go back and read the books once I can find the full collection. It's just where I'm at, it's hard to find all the books right now. I don't like ordering them online. But where are we at? Through eternity. But yeah, people would absolutely play Geralt for all of eternity. For as much as we all love Geralt, he's got a point. Sometimes you need to retire a character when there's nothing left to do with them. Uncharted put Nathan Drake into retirement so we could focus on Chloe and Nadine and the Lost Legacy, and they were a breath of fresh air. No, they weren't. That game was horrible. What are you talking about? The this is an example of a bad example. Nobody really that I knew, nobody that I saw was praising playing Chloe and Nadine. They were like, "This is stupid. Where's Nathan? Give us Nathan." It's like what was it? Dead Rising 3 when they switched characters all of a sudden, and then Dead Rising 4 brought back Frank because we want to play the characters that we're familiar with. We want to play the characters that are tied to a franchise. If you're going to transition to a character, it needs to be a very smooth and well explained transition. Where I believe the transition from Nathan to Chloe and Nadine was well explained, but it was not smooth. You need both. Can't be one or the other, right? But hey, we're not talking about that. Um, we've seen the end of Gerald's story. Cockle continues. Blood and Wine was supposed to be a wrap up for Gerald's journey. To avoid any doubt on where he stands, he continues. Celebrate Siri. I celebrate her for being the protagonist. So all you people who think it's woke blows raspberry. If you read the books, then you understand why CD Projekt Red went down this avenue. Or see, well, he says CD Projekt, but there's a whole rich world of stuff to explore with Siri that they didn't do when they put her into Witcher 3 because the story was about Geralt. But she hints at it. If you think it's woke, read the damn books. They're good, first of all, and secondly, you won't think it's so woke anymore. Yeah, read the damn books. Do you mean like the book where um the knight Galahad mistakes Ciri as the Lady of the Lake who gives the sword Excalibur to King Arthur? Those books? Or maybe you're talking about the books where Ciri is depicted as the Lady of Time and Space because she can travel through time and space. Those books where she's basically a supreme witch and not a witcher. Ugh, let's see, how much more of this article is there? Not much. Let me finish this up real quick before I complain. A lot of people, myself included, when I first played The Witcher 3, didn't know the games were based on a popular series of books. Everything CD Projekt Red does is rooted in it. As the years gone by, the books have become more about Ciri. Geralt may be a Witcher, but he's getting old, so passing the torch was inevitable. It's either that or no more Witcher. First off, I think it's heavily implied that after I think there's 2 or 3 Witchers that are younger than Geralt, and then there will be no more ever again because Vesemir knows half of the right and Yennefer knows the other half, and neither of them are going to make more Witchers because there doesn't seem to be a need for them anymore, especially after the uprising and the assault on Kaer Morhen, where people were blamed the Witchers for the strifes and problems of the world. But the fact that you didn't know they were a book before The Witcher 3, I guess is fair. I discovered The Witcher in The Witcher 2 because I thought it was a joke when I first saw the game title. And I'm not kidding. I thought it was like like a penny arcade style comic joke, if you know what penny arcade is. They make comics, they're responsible for PAX, the Penny Arcade Expo, which a lot of people don't even know PAX stands for Penny Arcade Expo. But they make parody comics sometimes to explain video games, and it very much felt like that kind of joke when you read the title of the second Witcher game, which is The Witcher 2: Assassins of Kings, implying that there's more than one assassin killing more than one king, which is true when you play the game. And I picked that game up when I found out it was a real game. I thought it was a fake game. I was like, one, I've never heard of The Witcher, period. So why are they jumping straight into the second game? And why has it got this ridiculous title? But I played it. It's one of the hardest games I've ever played. And it's a game that really gets you involved in the politics of the world, the in-game politics, because your character has an effect on them and your decisions have an effect on them. But that's when I discovered The Witcher, which was I don't even know when The Witcher 2 came out. When did The Witcher 2 come out? Uh Witcher 2 release date. Do 2011 Windows Digital and the Xbox 360 version 2012. Fuck, I'm old. Oh, oh, there's a Linux version. That's cool. Yeah, yeah, I remember this. Yeah, this game was hard as hell. There's a demo, or not a demo, a tutorial in the beginning that explains how the game works, and it tests you, then it recommends a difficulty, and it was like, we suggest you play on very easy. And I was like, screw you, I'm playing on normal. And I probably should have switched it down to easy or very easy because I struggled through that entire game. Like, I never really got the hang of it. It was super hard. The combat was difficult, but I made myself play it because I'm a stubborn ass motherfucker. And I had made the decision to play on normal. And normal was like playing hard on every other game, or just play like playing Dark Souls. It was like that level of difficult. Which by contrast, The Witcher 3, way easier. Way easier. Now I don't know if that's because I played The Witcher 2, so I had like a handle on it. So I don't know. Is The Witcher 3 an easy game for people? Let me know in the comments if you thought it was a easy or difficult game. But let's address the problem with Siri and what most people have an issue with, and it's not that the game is woke. It's that they depict her wrong in so many different ways. So one, we're going to start with the very obvious. She takes concoctions and potions that shift her eyes the way they do with Geralt or other Witchers. Ciri never took the trial of grasses because one, they didn't have a means of doing it, and two, not a single woman has ever survived. Now, there's a lot of people out there that do argue online that because she has elder blood in her and that she is a source, she could possibly survive, but we'll never know because she never went through the trial. And there's no way to do it because by the time she was old enough to do it, Yennefer was gone, and Vesemir was well beyond the point of ever putting anyone through that again, and had made up his mind that the Witcher line was going to die with the last of the Witchers that were walking the earth. So Ciri never went through the trial of grasses, therefore the concoctions and potions would not affect her the way they do Witchers. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, she has two swords. Now, if you've read the books and you do know the stories, or you painstakingly went through the steps to get the good ending in Witcher 3, I believe I think it God, I'm trying to remember now. I think the good ending happens the way the books do, where Geralt has a custom silver sword made for Ciri and gives it to her, and that is the only sword she carries with her going forward. She only has one sword because the silver sword works on monsters and humans. She didn't have a need for the two swords, and she doesn't really have to fight humans that much with a sword because of, the incredibly potent magic she possesses, which is just better than a sword in every way. If you read the books, you know that she has incredibly potent magic. If you read the books, you know that she's not a witcher, but she has witcher training. If you read the books, you know that she only carries one sword, not two. So the big problem that people had with that video is the video depicts her as a witcher in the way all the other witchers are, which she is not. She's not a witcher. She never will be and never can be a witcher. And that's the end of it. When the game makes her a legitimate witcher in like every respect, you're spitting on the books and the lore. You're not following them. You're not being true to them, and that's the problem that people had. That's the problem that I saw with people. People complaining about, why is Ciri a witcher? Why does she have two swords? Why is she using potions and concoctions? She only should have one sword. She should be using her own magic. She doesn't need to use like the witcher magic, you know? And it's just, they're valid complaints. You know, when something that previously had been very accurate to the lore of the stories suddenly decides to just fly off the handle and do its own fucking thing, people have a right to complain and question it. And when you come in as the voice actor and say, this is how the books go, well, I have to think that you haven't read the books or even done what I've done and read synopsis of the books because you wanted to know what happened and you didn't feel like waiting for the books. You know, I he didn't even do that. He just went, "Oh, somebody told me that Siri becomes the main character in the books, so I'm gonna go ahead and regurgitate that." Congratulations, you're showing us that you're just a voice actor. You're not a fan. You're not, somebody that cares about the lore. You just showed up for the paycheck, and now you're voicing your opinion. And it sure, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but you should at least know what you're talking about before you have an opinion on something that you're willing to put on record. But yeah, there you have it. Uh that's Cockle's take. This is my take. And I think I speak with a lot of the other people out there when we say Siri isn't a witcher. Like, you can see the second handle here. She should only have one sword. She shouldn't be using potions. They should, or if she can use them all she wants, they shouldn't affect her the way they do the other witchers. She should have more access to her magic, and she should be more focused on using her magic because she's possibly the most powerful magic user in the entire world of The Witcher. But the people who made the game don't care about that. They obviously only care about fighting the people who think the game's woke. Only care about highlighting people who think the game's woke. They don't want to highlight legitimate criticism or legitimate concerns because they're legitimate. But we're just gonna have to wait for this game to come out to see what the real story is and what really happens. Maybe this demo was to test the waters and see what people actually thought. Oh, here's a better shot that shows both swords. But, you know, I could probably rant about this a lot longer. I'm not going to. I want to keep this video about this article and what Cockle had to say. And that's all I have for this video. And this is your host, Belmont, signing out.